The personal statement might be the deciding factor for a school to want to give you an interview, so this video might be an important one for you. If you aren't the best at writing, don't worry, I'm awful at it. But in this video, we will go through a bunch of things you should know, how to strategize, and I'll give you a look at my own personal statement so you have an example of one to go off of that got me interviews with medical schools. Let's start off with what the personal statement really is. It is meant to be your opportunity to tell medical schools what experiences you've had that prepare you to be a physician. These experiences need to be personal and unique to you. So don't go Google ideas for writing a personal statement. Google shouldn't have the answer. This essay will make you stand out among your peers when medical schools read it. Ask yourself, what story could you tell that would make the reader want to hear more about your life? More about who you are and where you come from? That is the essence of a personal statement. Now, depending on where you apply, the length of the essay might be slightly longer. These character counts do include spaces as well, so pay attention when editing it that your personal statement doesn't go over the limit. If you are a Texas resident, you might as well just write one that meets the TMDSAS limit so you can just use it anywhere, or at least that's what I did. And while there isn't necessarily a minimum, you should probably try to shoot for a 47 or 4800 character minimum so you have enough writing to tell your story. Here is my story. Feel free to pause the video and read it, or just save it to read later. As you read it, notice the themes that I use. Themes of hardship, obstacles, overcoming them, personal growth, clinical experiences. You want to try to incorporate as much as you can into a story about yourself. As we go through the rest of this video, I will be referencing back to my own essay to give examples of what and what not to do, so I hope you've had a chance to read it. I also just want you to have it so that when you write your own, you have an idea of what it should look like. So how should your personal statement look? Well, you might want to stick to this formatting advice that I used in my own. The first paragraph should only be a couple of sentences that grab the attention of the reader. If you look at mine, I chose to take control of the prompt. I mean, what's a better way of grabbing the attention of the reader than just throwing them for a loop with something they didn't expect? Rather than answer the question asked in the personal statement, I reorganized it to a slightly different question that allows me to tell the story how I want to tell it. I also end the paragraph with a cliffhanger that makes the reader want to read the rest of the paper. Otherwise, they have no idea what my answer is. Using tricks like this in the first paragraph is the best way to hook the reader in. Next, the middle of your personal statement should be 3 to 4 paragraphs long. You want to use all of this space to tell whatever the story is. Well, let me use a different word than tell. You want to show who you are. You shouldn't just say what characteristics you have or things that you've done. Instead, show the reader what characteristics you have, what things you've learned, or what you value through your story. If you read mine, I tell the story of a patient overcoming his hardship and what role I had in that. Now, even if you don't know that the patient ends up being me in the end, the reader doesn't quite know that yet. So when they read it, they are getting a story about this mystery patient and my role in helping him reclaim his life. Through this, I am able to show usage of clinical experiences, the capability to have an open mind, and the desire to help others. Now, when you get to the last paragraph and find out that I was the patient, it opens up a whole new set of things to the reader. A story of overcoming hardships, a story of life lessons, a story of personal growth, all these things without outright having to say them in the text. Then, when you get to the conclusion, reflect back on the start of your essay. In my case, it was the big reveal that I was the patient. I also used the conclusion to illustrate what I learned and where I want to go, how this experience impacted me, and what I want to do with it. Now that the curtain was pulled back, I can change the narrative from third person to first person, and above all else, make it more personal. Now, you don't have to follow this exact formula, it's just the one I followed. But nevertheless, you should give yourself enough room in the middle to tell a story and use the start to really hook in the reader. I do want to give you a few ideas to help you brainstorm a story of your own. Think back really hard in your life. Was there a big turning point where you think the direction of your life changed? You could ask yourself, why do you want to do medicine? But you need to be careful with this. Remember that just about everyone will be directly trying to answer this question, so if your reason isn't a super unique one that is worth telling a story about, try to focus on something slightly different. Did you go on a unique journey in your life, either physical or spiritual? What about overcoming a hardship or obstacle in your life? It could be something like what I went through, or it could be something like getting through a rough childhood experience. You could even tell a story about something really unique, like starting a business or something that seems random. At the end of the day, all that matters is you tell a story to the reader, and through that story, illustrate why you would make a good physician. Show what qualities you have. Don't say what qualities you have. A few things to avoid when writing the personal statement includes something that might seem silly. You probably shouldn't write about something sciencey. It just kind of seems cliche and obvious that a pre-med student would be interested in science. So structuring a story about why you like science might need some spice to it besides just why you like the subject. And like I said, you don't want to tell the reader anything, you want to show the reader everything you want to say. When you do this, you want to use clear and direct language. Good physicians are able to communicate effectively with their patients, and what you are doing with this statement is no different. You should avoid confusing language or trying to sound overly complicated in your sentence structures or choice of words. Make sure that the reader can understand what you are trying to get across. One thing you need to be careful of as well is to avoid too much bragging or too much self-deprecation. You don't want the reader to think you are either egotistical or just not qualified to be a physician. If you go overboard in either of those directions, it might come off negatively. And finally, arguably one of the most important things to avoid is simple mistakes. Double or triple check your spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Having a well put together essay without any silly mistakes just makes it more sophisticated and makes you look better as an applicant. But on that topic, the biggest piece of advice I can give you, no matter what you write about, is to have other people constantly read it as you write it. Whether it's family, friends, professors, or even your pre-med counselor, whoever it is, have other people read it. Get feedback. Understand what things you do well and what things you don't. Including other people in this process of creating your personal story is the smartest thing you can do. And hey, it extends beyond just having them read it. If you are having trouble thinking about something to tell a story about, ask the people that know you. If you have a best friend or a family member that knows you better than anyone else, what story would they tell about you? I had my mom and sister involved in trying to help me brainstorm what to write about, and even had my aunt help me proofread and edit the thing. Don't be scared to include others in this process. In fact, it's probably better if you do. Remember that you have a support structure, no matter what that looks like, and also that a good physician knows how to work as part of a team and doesn't just do everything on their own.